Hey everybody, this is Mike the Vendor again. I've got a topic on my mind that I feel like is important for me. So I feel like since this is my space to discuss things, I'm going to go ahead and make a video on it. This is like my fourth attempt to make this video. I keep getting phone calls in the middle of it, so we're going to hope to avoid that. Um, the topic I'm discussing is the breakdown of the nuclear family in American society. I believe it is honestly the largest threat to America. It is the biggest degradation factor there is, period. Um, every study that you could ever find shows that when you break down the nuclear family, it's far, far worse for the children involved. I mean, there isn't a study that is scientifically accepted and peer reviewed, um, both that contradicts that. Obviously there are exceptions to when it's better to be in the nuclear family. Like if one of the parents happens to be an abuser, obviously in that scenario, it's not better for the child to be involved in that type of nuclear family. But so long as you don't have one of the parents being abusive, um, it's usually better for the children if you stay in the nuclear family. Which is why you should at least, which is why our like you should do your best to maintain it if you have children. Like if you end up having kids with someone else, you should put every effort you can into maintaining that relationship with them because that's what's best for those kids. And as a parent, that's your number one responsibility. As a father of two kids, that's my number one responsibility is raising them and providing for them and loving them and making sure that they grow up happy and healthy. And the best thing I can do is do my best to make my marriage work. Um, because every study, like I said, shows that two-parent households produce much better adjusted children. And if you're a child raised in a two-parent household, you are statistically way more likely to go to college. Not only are you more likely to go to college, you're more likely to graduate from college if you do make it to college than someone who was born in a single parent or someone who's raised in a single parent household. Um, you're much less likely to commit a crime. You're much less likely to have a crime committed against you. You're overwhelmingly more likely to inherit some generational wealth, which improves your prosperity and your children's prosperity. Because when you're born in a single parent household, the odds that you're going to produce a child into a single parent household is again exponentially greater. It's a vicious self-propagating cycle that you just have to at some point try and be the person to break that cycle. It's just way better for society as a whole. This whole idea and a lot of our modern theories of it's okay to do a single parent household, and like in certain circumstances that's the better one, but those circumstances are not the majority. They are the exception. They're not the rule, they're the exception. In 9 out of 10 cases, it's better for the child if you're born and raised in a two-parent household. Now, obviously, I understand that sometimes it's just not going to work. Sometimes people change. Like if by chance you get into a relationship with someone, and at the beginning the relationship works because the two of you are compatible, and then over the course of years your personalities change and you no longer mesh well, and it just becomes something that you can't overcome. At that point, it's understandable to end the relationship, but you should do everything in your power to not get to that point. And then if you see problems forming in your relationship, you should do everything in your power to fix it, not just give up on it, especially once you have children involved. Um, and I think a lot of our society and our current government programs they kind of don't encourage that. They in fact encourage the opposite, which I think is a large part of why you've seen divorce rates skyrocket significantly, um, to the point where, if not entirely half, then almost half of all marriages at this point in America end in divorce, which is it's a sad statistic. Um, it's horrific. I mean, and on every single level, it breaks down that way. That it's not good for you. Um, so, like I said in the beginning, I believe, unless it was in one of my other attempts, but I plan unless it was in one of my other attempts at this video, I plan on discussing what I think would be, at least on the government scale, something that we can do as a society to help combat this a little bit and do good for our children. Eventually, when I do actually make a full run for politics, it's going to be a policy that I push because I think it's the best thing, or at least I think it's an extreme positive we can actually do to improve the situation. Um, and that is basically we encourage people to stay together. And I think it's extremely simple. I don't believe the idea of taking away the tax benefits that, or the benefits and financial benefits that we offer to single parents is a good idea. It's just it's a non-viable political option. When you start taking away people, like a benefit that people have, you're going to lose, and therefore you won't do anyone any good because you're not in office. Um, so I won't be advocating anything like that. What I'll be advocating is adding an incentive to maintain the family. Um, my off the top head, my off the top of my head thought on how we can do that is something along the lines of like a tax credit for parents that stay together. So say you're a parent and you have a kid, and you make under $75,000 as a parent or as a single individual, or $150,000 as a couple. If the two of you stay together, and you're filing your taxes either which way, it's $75,000 individually, or $150,000 as a joint filing. And you make less than that, and you got married to the other parent of your kid, then give you like a 10% increase in your tax return, just a blanket, whatever your regular income was, whatever your tax return is going to be, add 10% to it. Don't penalize people for not staying together. And then at the same time as you're doing that, because that's your preferred outcome, is that they get married. If they don't get married, but they stay involved in their kids' lives, and you can prove that, and they can have some, and you can find some way to get proof of that. I'm not sure how you would do that right now, but I would want to encourage this inclusion as well. Give them a 5% bonus for staying involved in their kids' lives, because that's a big problem. This is when they split like that, and it's particularly prominent for have fathers not stay involved in their children's lives, and I believe that this would be a good way to encourage them to do that. I know it sucks that you have to encourage them to do the right thing, but it's stupid not to acknowledge reality, and so that's what I plan on doing, is acknowledging reality and encouraging fathers to stay in their kids' lives by giving them a tax benefit for doing it. I also think that if you give some inclusions in there, like if say you're a couple and there's documentation that that one partner is abusing the other partner, that exempts them from losing that tax credit if they leave that marriage. I believe that that's a good way to handle that, so that you're not trying to encourage, specifically in this case, women to stay with a man that's abusing them, because if that man is abusing them and there's some kind of documentation to back that up, I don't believe they should be penalized for leaving you at all, because that's one of those situations where it's better for the kid if you get out, to take the kid with you, obviously. So yeah, that's how I would handle that. That's a way I would confront that, is to have this tax credit where if you if you're married to the parent of your other kid, you get more money with it, for having done that. It's something we need to encourage, to do better. Like that's one of the easier way that governments can do things. Like the government can do things. Like it's, I believe, one of the more effective ways. Like the old saying goes, you get more sugar, you attract more flies with sugar than you do salt. You get better results doing the carrot than the stick, because a lot of the ways that our current politicians try to get you to do things is to punish you for doing the wrong thing, as opposed to rewarding you for doing the right thing. And I think that's a better way to encourage people to do things, is by offering them a reward. Like, hey, you go do this, I'm gonna pay you for it. And a lot of people will be like, sure, I like money. Let me go get my money. Do my thing that gets me more money. So yeah, like I said, I believe that's the number one way we can encourage families to stay together. If I had any other way, I would say something along the lines of just going into like our education, our schools, and having some, like when kids are like, I would say like middle school would be the appropriate time, is being like, hey guys, this is the best thing you can do. If you do end up making a mistake, I don't want to say make a mistake, because no child should ever be considered a mistake. But if you do ever end up, conceiving a child, you want to do your best for that child, and these are why. And then lay out statistics, and you go, this is your kid. You want to do what's best for it, just like you would want your parents to do what's best for you. And then and this is how we will help you. How the government helps you do that, as opposed to helping the other way. Like I said, I don't want to take away, the help that single parents get. I don't think that's a good idea, because they are single parents that do need help. But I think that there should also be a counterbalance to make it more likely that don't become single parents. Those just my general thoughts on it. I wanted to make a video and explain my thought process, and what I thought could be a good way to help out and to counteract this. So again, do me a favor. If you like my video and you like what I had to say, please like, share, and subscribe. Mike the Vendor on pretty much everything that if I've got a social media, it's Mike the Vendor. Yeah, so thank you very much, and I hope you guys have a nice day. And please comment if you have any questions, or if you ever think of a topic you want me to discuss or get my opinion on. Like I said, I've got such a small following right now that any idea is perfectly fine for me to talk about. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys have a great day.